So good morning one and all. Myself Dr. S. Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of CSC Honors. Today we will discuss about the security attacks, security services, mechanism in detail, and also a model for network security. In the previous lecture we will discuss about what is the need of security attacks and basic things, what are the impacts, what you will get the advantages, disadvantages if you are not following the security services. So the aim of the section is to summarize the security attacks, services and mechanism and model for network security. This section is designed to introduce the basic concepts of security services, mechanisms and a model network security. Learning outcomes: to define the security attacks, services and mechanisms, demonstrate model for network security. So in this session we will discuss about the introduction, security attacks, security services, security mechanisms, model for the network security. So this is the introduction. The section is provide in-depth understanding the security services, mechanisms and illustrates various components involved in the network security. Previous session we will discuss about what is the security service and what is the security mechanism. So there are two types of attacks, as you know, for the security attacks. So there are two types: active attack and passive attack. The passive attack comes under the classify into two subtopics: release of message content, traffic analysis. Active methods: managed row, replay, modification of the message and denial of the services. By using these two things, the data only read by the third party. By using these active attacks, maybe the data is written and update the data, so that you need to take more concentration of active attacks. Passive attacks are also attacks, but the impact of these attacks is only low and the impact of these attacks is high or moderate, so that you should take care about the active attacks. So this is the passive attacks, release of message content. So this is the network we are having. Some Alliance, Bob, these are all the two users. This is Alliance is the receiver and Bob is the sender. This person is middle person or intruder person. So internet, as you know, it is a open source. Anybody can read the content without the permission, because it is a open traffic. So that the sender will send the data to Alliance, but the read the content message from Bob to Alliance, so that he will understand what is the relationship between these two persons. Any sensitive data is sent by them, he can read and sit idle. In the passive attacks, the impact of this attack is low only. Coming to the second attack, the Bob sends the message to the Alliance. Observe the pattern of the messages from Bob to Alliance. So what is the relation between these two persons? Any financial data is sent like ATM pin. So ATM pin, etc. So passwords, these kind of things may be sending. What is the pattern they are going to use? All these things will be analyzed by using this traffic analysis. So this traffic analysis can done more than one message. By using one message, it is not possible to discuss about the traffic analysis. Coming to the active attacks, so Bob doesn't send any message to Alliance, but instead of Bob, this middleman Dirth send a message that appears to the Alliance. It will be sent through Bob. Okay, so for that they are using the normal internet only, so that maybe some misunderstanding should be happened between Bob and Alliance. So next thing is replay attack. So what is this replay attack? Bob sends the message to Alliance, but before sending this message, it will reaches to the middleman Dirth, and he will capture the message from the Bob to Alliance. Later he reply the message to the same message to the Alliance. So what he is saying is he will send another message also. So sometimes you will get two messages at a time. So one is from Bob and another from his middleman. So for that you can understand that this is maybe hacked. Next, modification of the message. The previous version impact is moderate, so not low, moderate. You can know the message and it will sends to the Alliance also. So now this is the impact is very high. So Bob sends the message to the Alliance, but it will reaches to the Dirth, and he will modifies the message according to his requirement, and he will sends the message which is sent by Bob only, so that the impact is very high. So Bob doesn't ask any money, but Bob is discussing about the financial issues, but he understands this message and Dirth send a request to the Alliance with respect to the Bob, I need so on money for this account. So if anybody sends the money, we think that we are helping the Bob, but we are not helping the Bob. That money is sent to the Dirth. The impact of this type of attacks is very high. So sometimes denial of the service. So sometimes we will send a message to the server to perform some task. In order to, if you are using two-tier architecture, we are going to depending upon the server. In order to, we don't have the much resources like computational power, hard disk, operating system, something. So in order to overcome all these things, what we are going to do is we are going to depending upon the server. So these intruders will disturb the server, sending continuously unwasted messages, so that the server time is very high. So the server doesn't respond in time. We think that server is not accepting our request, but the thing is these intruders will send continuously false messages to the server. So continuous request is sent by from one user. Okay, so the actual user waits a huge time. So denial of service means you are not able to get the service even though some days or years also. So that what we are going to do is it is having high impact. So in order to overcome all these things, the X800 defines a security services as a service that is provided by the protocol layer of communicating open systems, and that ensures adequate security of the systems of data transfers. So for that we are having authentication, access control, data confidentiality, data integrity, non-repetition. So authentication, again we are having two things: peer entity authentication, data origin authentication. So data origin authentication means from where you are getting the data. So access control means which person is having control. So all those things we will discuss in this access control. Data confidentiality, so connection confidentiality, connectionless confidentiality, selective field confidentiality, traffic flow confidentiality. Data integrity means in order to combining the data from different users. Connection integrity with recovery without recovery, selective field connection integrity, connectionless integrity, selective field connectionless integrity. So non-repetition, non-repetition origin, non-repetition decision. All these things are comes under the X800 security services. So the first one is authentication. What is meant by authentication? Authentication, the assurance that communicating entity is one that aims to be peer entity authentication. It is used in association with logical connection to provide the confidence, the identity of the entities connected. So if the authentication is passed, that means there is a identity. With the system is identified, you will send the services to the appropriate user. Okay, data organization origin authentication. It is in a connectionless transfer, provides assurance that the source of received data is a client. So next, access control. Access control means the prevention of unauthorized users of a resource. The resource, the service controls who can access to a resource, under what conditions access can occur, and what those accessing resources are allowed to do. So suppose I want to access a API through some client, it is accepted. I want to access your hard disk, your processor, all these things are not acceptable. So under process control, based on the user type, they are going to allow to access the particular user. Next, data confidentiality. So confidentiality is protecting the data. Okay, the protection of all users data in a connection. Okay, so the protection of all users data in a single data of block is known as connectionless confidentiality. Selective field confidentiality is the confidentiality of the selective fields within the data set. We are not providing the entire field security, we are providing some fields as the security. For example, if you take a form, in that form some data is not having some secure problem, so that kind of data we are not providing the confidentiality. So because of it is a huge amount of data, you will provide confidentiality, it will take more time. So selective field means which fields you need to require the confidentiality, that fields are taken as a single block and we will provide the confidentiality. Traffic flow confidentiality, the protection of the information that might be driven from the observation of traffic analysis. Every time you are getting a single instruction from one IP address or from one user, so that we think that this person is wanted to analyze our data, so that we are not providing the data in the regular manner. For that, what we are going to do is we are going to asking the OTPs and prove yourself, access control, something like that. Next, data integrity. Connection integrity with recovery provides for the integrity of all users data on a connection and detects any modification, insertion, deletion and replay of any entire data with recoverable is accepted. Without recovery means you will perform all the above operations like modification, insertion, deletion, it will happen, will specify that one, and we are not able to detect, we are not able to recover. Okay, selective field connection integrity provides for the integrity of the selective fields. That means any modifications, insertion, deletion, replay can be done by the intruder or the third person, middleman person. We will provide the security for the selecting fields, not for the entire fields. So connection integrity, same things, provides the integrity of a single connectionless data block. Selective field connectionless integrity provides for the integrity for the selective fields within the single connectionless data block. Non-repetition. Non-repetition in the origin, proof that the message has to send by the specific party. and destination proof that the message was received by the specified party. Suppose I want to send the message A to B. So in that message, in the to address, we are going to specify about this is came from A, and send items it is sent to B. So in the same scenario, these two things will be happened in the message itself. Next, security mechanisms. There are two types of security mechanisms: specific security mechanisms and prospective security mechanisms. In the security mechanism, we are having 8 types of methods. We are having encryption and digital signature, access control, data integrity, authentication exchange, traffic padding, routing control, and notarization. So encryption, the use of mathematical algorithms to transfer the data from one form to another form is known as encryption. Okay, encryption. So for that, what we are going to do is we are doing some mathematical operations to convert the data from one form to another form, so that which is not readable in a not format. Okay, that text is known as cybertext. We will discuss about those things in the next sessions. Next, digital signature. Data is append to or a cryptographic transformation, a data unit that allows a recipient of the data unit to provide the resources and integrity of the data unit and protect against the forgery. Access control, a variety of mechanisms that enforce access the rights to the resources. So based on the type of the user, we are going to provide which type of the resources you are going to provide the access control. Data integrity, the variety of mechanisms that are used to ensure the integrity of the data into one unit or stream of units. Authentication exchange, a mechanism intended to ensure the identity of entity by means of information exchange. Traffic padding, the insertion of bits into gaps in a data stream to traffic analysis attempts. Routing control enables selection of particular physically secure routes for creation data and allows routing changes, especially when the branch of security is suspected. So by using this routing control, some routers are stop the data, and sometimes it is not able to transfer the data in the speed manner. In that case, we are not able to send our data to that router. Notarization, the use of trusted third party to ensure certain properties of data exchange. Preventive security mechanism, there are 5 things: trusted functionality, security label, event detection, security audit trial, security recovery. Trusted functionality, that which is prevented to be correct with respect to the some criteria, establishment of the security policy. Security label, the making bond to a resources which may be a data unit that names the security attributes of the resources. Event detection of the security relevant events. Security audit trial, so data collected used to facilitate a security audit, which is an independent review and examining of the system records and activity. Security recovery deals with the requests from the mechanisms such as event handling and management functions and tasks recovery actions. So this is the model for network security. So previously we are providing the security mechanisms. In that security mechanisms, we are having encryption. So sender, before sending the message in the form of plain text, converts into the secure form, that is unreadable form, that is known as ciphertext, by using the some algorithm and key. This secure message, nothing but ciphertext, is sent to the destination on the open channel. There will be an opponent crypt analyst in the communication channel waiting to capture your message. Trusted third parties resolves the disappearance between source and destination. This is the things we are having under the network model for the network security. So for that we need one key. This key is sent by trusted third party between these two parties, sender and receivers. Okay, the secret key what they are going to use for these algorithms are that will be sent by trusted parties. This key is utilized here and this key is utilized here, secret information. Okay, so this is the message the sender wants to send. Before sending the actual message, that is plain text, it is converted into the secure message with the help of some algorithm and key. This key is sent by the trusted third party, so that even though if you are using the open channel, the opponent even though read the content, he doesn't understand the message what he has to send. We are having n varieties of algorithms in order to convert the message into secure message, nothing but plain text into ciphertext. So coming to the same summary, security attacks threats to the confidentiality, integrity and availability of the information system. To counter these attacks, security mechanisms and services are introduced. Security mechanisms such as encryption, authentication, access control are designed to protect various types of attacks. Security services including confidentiality, integrity, availability, authentication and non-repetition aim to enhance overall the security of the systems and the network. By implementing these security mechanisms and services in the organizations, we will protect our data from the intruders or third man. These are all the self-assessment questions, and these are all the some terminal questions, list of attacks, astive attacks, positive attacks. So you need to draw these two diagrams for positive attacks, active attacks, 4 diagrams. Security services, we are having 8 security services. So mechanisms, we are having 2 types of security mechanisms. And the last one is the diagram, demonstrate the model of the network security with the need diagram. So for that I am referring these 4 textbooks in order to complete this section. Thank you.